Hey y'all. So are you in a space where you feel like you are the energy source for the people around you? Maybe you're still in that people pleasing state where you feel like you have to be what everybody around you needs to create the peace of the situation so that there's no chaos, or you're allowing people to tell you that you need to be more in order for them to be able to navigate the world in a content space. Well, I've done a short on this and I'll link it below, but today I just want to encourage you to think about if you're navigating in the world is more for other people, and I'm not talking about serving other people, I mean for the benefit of other people, than it is for yourself or for God or for the people that you are serving. Why is that happening? What are you allowing to happen in your life and allowing people to make you feel that gives you the impression that you were here and your existence and your presence on this earth is in an effort to make their lives easier or make them more content. And once you assess that, I'm sure that you're going to uncover that this comes from a childhood feeling or maybe a trauma that you've experienced where you feel like if you keep yourself to keep yourself safe, you have to keep everybody else's emotions at bay or at a stable state. And I just want you to know that that is not your job. It is not your job to be an energy source for other people. And I was in a relationship where this occurred on an almost daily basis. He lost his job, and I tried to, send him jobs and I tried to encourage him. And daily he would tell me that I wasn't doing it enough. And eventually I unearthed and figured out that it was because he wasn't doing enough to fulfill the voids that he had inside of himself, and that it wasn't my job to make sure that he was okay. That's not the only place in my life that it happens. So I'm almost certain that that's the case for you. If you've developed people pleasing habits, it's probably because you have had several relationships and several spaces in your life where you feel like you need to do more, be more, and keep the space safer for other people so that they're content, and therefore that keeps you safe. What are some things that people do if you haven't identified that you're being an energy source for people who refuse to do the inner work for themselves? What are some things that they do that are characteristic and pretty much happen in almost every situation where I've seen someone do this? Well, the first one is they guilt you. So they try to make you feel bad for not being there when they need you or doing things for them that they ask you to do, or um, being agreeable to them or whatever the case is. And the example that I gave you earlier, it switched every now and again. So it was guilt for not sending more jobs, and then it was guilt for not being there enough. And so it was just this slathering of guilt on a daily basis. And so, what can you do when they're trying to make you feel bad for not doing something that would make them feel content, even if it's not in your best interest to do that thing, or even if you're exhausted by continuously doing the same things for them? Well, you can assess your intention. If you've said no, or if you're tired of doing something, or if you're in a space where you're putting boundaries around yourself and your time, if your intention is to keep yourself safe by keeping yourself safe, no longer being a yes person so that that person cannot guilt you into doing things anymore because you put a boundary around it, then your intention is to keep yourself safe. And if that's where you are, then you have great intentions for yourself, and you should continue to navigate that journey that way. If your intention is to make them suffer, then you probably need to do some more self assessing, because your boundaries should never be about hurting somebody else, but they should be about keeping yourself in a place of safety. So if you're being their energy source and they're refusing to do the inner work and they've tried to guilt you and you've assessed your intention and it just says, I'm trying to keep myself safe, then feel secure in the fact that it's okay to set that boundary and it's okay to say that no. The second thing that they'll do is they'll throw shade at you. So, this whole idea of triangulation, they'll gossip about you, they'll tell people the story that makes them the victim and you the villain, so that they have somebody on their side, so that they can tell the stories that they tell to these people, and that somebody will have the same opinion of you. And so that you can know that more people than just one person have that opinion of you. So, therefore, it must be true. They do that in an effort to keep you in the space that you're in. So if you keep doing the things that please them, then they're not going to talk about you, gossip about you, or do this whole triangulation thing. But once you step out of line of those things, then they're going to make everybody hate you. And then you're going to start believing those opinions because, after all, if more than one person has that opinion, then obviously it must be true. But what can you do about that? You can assess who you know you really are you the type of person that exhibits the characteristics that they're saying about you? And if that answer is no, then you have to know that you're the source, consider the source of that opinion. If the source is the person who can't deal with your no, and then the opinion that they've shared with the other person created their opinion, then the source is still the same person. And if that source is unhappy with you because you've created a boundary with them to keep yourself in an area where you're content, then your best interest is not at heart for them, their own is. And so you're not their source for emotional stability and regulation. They need to do their inner work. They need to assess why they count on you so much to fill them up. They need to assess what are those wounds that are inside of them that they need to take account of and do something about so they don't need another person to fix them. And then the third thing that happens quite often is the love bombing. So they've talked about you, they've guilted you, but now all of a sudden you're the love of their life and you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. And again, this is not just with romantic relationships. This can happen with platonic relationships too. So you get the love bombing text, oh, I love you so much. Oh, I wouldn't know I don't know what I would ever do without you, these type of things. And that happens because they still need you as their emotional source because they're too busy gaining their supply from externally to ever do the work internally. So they're going to love bomb you to get back what they lost when they did the other two things. So when they guilted you and you had to set a boundary, or when they gossiped about you and you had to have a negative reaction, or maybe you just didn't talk to them as much and they realize that they're not getting that energy from you. Now they got to switch their source to love because they need the energy from you, whether it's negative or positive. And so they're going to switch back to that positive energy by love bombing you and telling you how much you mean to them so they can butter you up a little bit so that you keep doing the things that they've guilted you for and that they gossip about you about and continue to be their supply. And so today I would just encourage you to protect your energy. Your energy is yours. Your energy needs to be used to advance the kingdom and to make people's lives better, yes. And you can do that in a space of servanthood. But if someone is guilting you to do it, if someone's gossiping about you because you're doing it or not doing it because you've set a boundary, or if someone is love bombing you because they're not receiving the same energy that they were receiving from you before, then you really need to pay attention to the fact that you're an energy source for them for not doing their own internal work. And that is not your job, nor should you have to navigate that life. Thank you for tuning in. If this message resonated with you and it's some wisdom that you were glad to gain, then I would hope that you would subscribe and share this with other people so that we can help other people get out of the bondage that they're currently in. Remember, wisdom gained is great for us to have. It's a way to elevate ourselves, but wisdom shared is a way to help people and become the catalyst to help them get out of the bondage that they are experiencing. And that's why I share my testimony, because I don't want people to be in bondage for as long as I was and wish that they had somebody to help them out of it. So like and subscribe, share this video, go to my social media platforms and share those, and continue to tune into the channel. Videos are coming out at least 4 times a week so that you can get this content and share it with people and help them to get to a place of healing. I appreciate you all, and I'll see you again next time.